It's not just the symptoms that scare me. It's the unknown, the what ifs, the progression, the fear of losing more than I already have. Well, stick around because by the end, I'm going to share how I stopped letting fear make all my decisions. All right, well, welcome to the channel. My name is Bryce, if it's your first time here. And if it's not, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, this is Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. And this podcast is all about strength, hope, and support for anyone living with Parkinson's or loving someone who does. I keep it real, the good, the bad, and the stuff that nobody talks about. So today's episode, we're going to talk about Parkinson's and the fear of the future. And let's be honest, this one hits really close to home. Okay, like when I was first diagnosed, the scariest part wasn't the symptoms I had, it was the symptoms that I might have. Would I be able to walk in 5 years? Would I lose my voice, my independence, my career? Would I become a burden? No one gives you a roadmap. And so your mind starts writing its own roadmap, and it's filled with worst case scenarios. Do you do that? Do you have like the worst case scenarios, the things that like, what if, and it's like the biggest, baddest, craziest thing that could ever happen. That's where our mind goes. And that's exactly where it goes, especially in these moments of the unknown. It is absolutely terrifying, to be honest. But again, don't forget, near the end of the episode, I'm going to share the shift that helped me stop spiraling into those craziness and the craziness of what it might be. Okay? At first, when I was diagnosed, I was overwhelmed by the information, right? Google became my worst enemy and my late night obsession. How many can say, me too, right? Google was my late night exception, but it became my enemy. I read every possible outcome. And somehow I convinced myself that they'd all happen and they'd all happen fast. But here's the truth. Fear grows when we feed it with assumptions. And I was feeding mine 3 meals a day, morning, noon, and night. I'd wake up, I'd reach my phone, and I'd start reading on Parkinson's, reading stories. I'm in chat groups, and I'm listening to everybody's worst case, the worst case symptoms, the worst case of everything. And I had to stop feeding that. I was feeding it 3 times a day. I like that. It just popped in my head. I like when I like myself. But anyway, there's a fine line between planning and obsessing. And I've crossed it. I've crossed it way, many more times than I can count. See, planning's smart. Having a care team, a will, taking care of loved ones, that's wise. But when your entire life becomes a plan to avoid the worst, you stop living the best of what's still there. Okay, I know you want me to say that again, right? When your entire life becomes a plan to avoid the worst, you stop living the best of what's still here, and you totally miss it. And honestly, some of the scariest things that I ever imagined, they didn't happen. And some of the hardest things that did happen, man, you know what? I handled them better than I thought I would. And that's what I want to remind you today. And again, I hope I'm not alone in this. And I know I'm not. So 15 years in, you think about this. I kind of lived it. No, I think I spoke of this on a podcast before. And if you haven't watched the podcast, go back and start, because I kind of I don't want to keep filling it in. I kind of fill in the blanks as we go, but I'd love you to catch up, because we're going to some places here that we're going to touch on things that, not a lot of people talk about, right? Like, what is that feeling? What are we doing? We talk a lot about exercise, and exercise is fantastic. Exercise is needed, but there's so much game up here, right? And in here. And we got to make sure that we're doing both, right? We have to exercise our brain and exercise our body and exercise our brain, exercise our mind, and exercise it on the proper things. Okay? That's why we're doing this. And again, in those 15 years, the things that were really difficult, I'm like, man, if this ever happens, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. It's going to be bad. I've never been good at, I'm just not good with these things. And I did okay. I'm here today. Matter of fact, if you're watching this right now or listening to this, no matter when it is, you're here. You got past yesterday. And you know what they say, right? Today is the tomorrow that you were worried about yesterday. Okay? Okay, I'll say it again. Today is the tomorrow that you were worried about yesterday. All right? So anyway, join me in the comments. Is there, is there things that you didn't think that you'd be able to handle? Whether thought that you were whether you're someone who's diagnosed with Parkinson's and you're thinking, man, if this happens to me in next year or next month or whenever it might be, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. But yet you're handling it now. I'd love to know what that is. Not just for me. I mean, let's have a conversation. And the reality is, if when you're honest and vulnerable, you're going to help somebody else because somebody else is going to read in the comments, and a lot of people read it. And trust me, I read every comment. Just so everybody knows, I read every single comment and I try to respond to every single one. And I think it's important. And what's happening is you'll notice people read the comments, right? So they read what you said, and it's going to maybe register with them. And they're going, oh my gosh, I'm worried about that right now. And it's going to help them. So do that. Join me in the comments. Let's do this. Okay. So, again, some of the hardest things that I was worried about, they didn't happen, or I handled them better. And that, again, that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to remind you. There came a point where I had to make a choice, right? I could either live scared of the future, right? Or live now while I still could. So guess what I did? I started practicing presence. Not perfection, just presence. I stopped fast forwarding my life like it was a movie that I didn't want to watch. Right? And I started noticing moments that I would have missed. I stepped back. I started laughing at a joke. I started feeling the sun on my face. I started taking a deep breath without panic. And guess what? That's not denial. What that is that's choosing joy over fear. And that's a choice that you have to make. I call this doing life today. And it came to me one day because I'm like, I'm not going to let this life pass me by. I want to live my life. And you know what? I want to live it today. I don't want to. Are you that type of person that might say, and in the comments, hit the like button and share this with someone who needs it? I'm telling you, this is a powerful message. But are you that type of person that just wants to just kind of avoid it, right? Avoid thinking about it because maybe it won't happen? Because that's me, right? That's me. And how many of you would say this? That's where I was going. I kind of lost my track there. Hopefully you stay with me here. And hopefully you're probably used to this by now. This is just me. This is real, raw, right? This is just me and my Parkinson's. And I've had a long day today. I've done, it's Parkinson's Awareness Month started today, April 1st. And I did a TV interview, a radio interview. And so I'm just having a long day and I've talked a lot, but nothing more that I wanted to do today was to get this message down and recorded so that I could give it. But anyway, are you that person that says, you know what, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then I'm going to start living, or I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then I'll be happy, or if this happens and this happens, then I'll be happy. Those things don't happen. You know what? And if you make conditions on yourself, and the condition is, when I get this old, or when this happens, I'm going to change, or I'm going to change my mindset, or I'm going to be happy. And the reality is, when you get there, you add on more. Life keeps growing, right? Life just keeps on coming. It's that perspective shift, right? It changed everything for me. Okay. And this is what helped me the most. This is the thing that gave me the most hope. And here it is. Here's the shift. I stopped asking, what if it gets worse? And I started asking, what if I get stronger? What if I learn to adapt? What if I'm more resilient than I think? What if the support I need shows up right when I need it? The future might not be easy, but it also might be full of things that I can't even imagine yet. Good things, unexpected things, moments worth living for. And that shift didn't cure my fear, but it stopped letting fear make all my decisions. And if you think about it, that could be you today, whether you're someone with Parkinson's or whether you're a caregiver and you're so fearful of the next, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen here? How are we going to handle this? Who's going to be in our life? I don't have support. I don't have this. I don't have that. All of that fear was making the decisions for you. It was making the decisions for you. Okay? So what is your question? Like did you hear what mine were? What if I get stronger, right? Like that's what I started asking. What if I learn to adapt? Okay? And if you think about it, that's the things I was worried about. My worry was What if I'm going to get weaker? What if I get weaker? What if I can't do something? And instead of that, I said, what if I get stronger? Okay. What if I said what if I never ever learn how to do things differently? What if I never learn how to comb my hair with my left hand because my right hand's shaking too much? What if I can't do it? Instead, I asked, what if I learn to adapt? Right? I was saying, I'm too weak. I can't do this. I'm not built for this. This is not my life. I can't do this. Instead, what if I'm more resilient than I think? I went through a divorce. Okay. 10 years in. What if I never find anybody? How am I going to handle this on my own? What kind of help am I going to have? I started saying stuff. What if I find the most precious person in the entire world that loves me for me? What if? And what if that happened? Okay. Again, the future might not be easy, but it's also full of things that you can't imagine yet. Good things for you, unexpected things for you, moments worth living for you. Okay? That's what happens. And you have to make that choice. Nobody can do it for you. It's your choice. It's your choice. Okay? Just stop letting that fear make your decisions. And in the comments, what are your things? What is the one thing that you're fearful about? Write it in the comment and then write the next thing. Right? What if blank happens to me? Or what if this blah 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 happens to me? But then right beside it, I want you to write the other way. What if I learn to adapt? What if I never, ever, ever, ever am going to be able to get to grips with this Parkinson's? What if I learn how to adapt? Do that. It'll help you. It's something you just throw it out there. It helps you, and it's going to help somebody who's just passing by and has a look in the comments. So let's help each other. That's what it's all about. And if you've been afraid of those lies, I get it. Or sorry, those lies. Oh my God. If you've been afraid of what lies ahead, that's what I meant to say. If you've been afraid of what lies ahead, okay, I get it. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're human. But don't let fear take the wheel. You still got life to live, love to give, and a future that'll help, a future that you get to help shape one step at a time. Well, I hope this episode helped. And it's one of these ones that you might want to save this, right? You might want to share this, but you might want to save it because fear trickles back in. And when you start feeling those doubts again and you start asking those questions again, I want you to remember this and I want you to come back and rewatch it again, right? Do that exercise, save it and do it. Okay. I love it. I love you. Share this with somebody who you think might be stuck in their head right now. Because I've got a bunch. I'm going to share it with a bunch of people I know. And subscribe for more episodes that keep it real. You're not alone. You never have been. This is Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. And we're doing this together.